Hey, BATT Family. Welcome back to another Kickstarter preview from our friends over at Ivy Games. Today, we are talking the expansion to Fractured Sky. This is Fractured Sky Awakening. Jason, how you doing, man?
I am feeling good. I'm feeling fine. I am remote controlled.
Scott, how you doing, man?
I mean, I'm across from you, so I guess I'm okay.
Wow, rude. So today's preview is going to be structured a little differently than our regular reviews and previews because Fractured Sky Awakening is a set of 4 modular expansions that you can add in as much as you want. So we're just going to talk about them kind of each as their own discrete thing, but you are able to put in as many or as few of these as you want. Almost all of these can be used with a solo mode, and we will talk about how they play, really the changes they bring within each section. So let's go ahead and get into it, and let's talk this expansion. Let's get into each of the 4 expansions. So first up, we are going to be talking Payloads. Payloads are very straightforward. These are going to be alternate rewards that get added onto the board, and they are tokens, again, prototype components. They range from +2 to +5, and when you are able to take a reward, you will either take your Starfall or the payload. If the first place takes the payload, then the second place has either the 2 resources or the payload. That's how it goes. Payloads are very interesting because not only do they give you an extra disc for strength, they do not count against your 10 strength limit. So I could have 2 +5s and I could put that on the bottom of my +2, and I have 12 strength on that particular ship, and it doesn't knock anything else. I like payloads. I like payloads a lot.
Oh, payloads is fun because you're like, oh, great, Scott took the payload. What number did he just get? And then it's, oh, look, Scott put a payload on that ship. Oh, man, I put a 6. And if he put a payload, okay, we don't know exactly what he got, but that means he could put as slow as a 4 and match the 6. And depending on where you're at in turn order, that could be a tie break.
Yes. I like the fact they go face down, so that way the opponents don't know what they are. But on the flip side of that, you can be like, oh, cool, I grabbed a payload. Oh, I didn't take a point. I took a +2. Oh, at least your opponents have to see how many payloads you have available, but they don't get to know what you have until they score. This is an easy expansion to just, it's always in. It just is.
I think I'm the only dissenter here. I'm just going to say, like, payloads are fine. It just seems like more stuff expansion for me. And being the one who has the bad draw luck of pretty much everybody here, payloads always seemed more or less to be my detriment. But overall, taking my bias out of it, it's okay.
Okay.
It's a cool expansion to go ahead and give a little bit more complexity to it.
You could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I could see that. I don't think it makes or breaks the game.
My reason for really liking this will come up in another module, actually.
Yeah.
But I can see where you're saying that, Jason. But thankfully, the setup for the payloads is you put one on each of the islands, and then you refill it if it's taken. Like, this is a very easy stack of things to put in. And if you don't want to put it in, just don't. So the next module we're going to talk is Bounties. And I want to do this one because we just finished up with Payloads. And Bounties, when I was talking to Austin, he said that one of the things they routinely saw in base game plays, especially over time, it's been a couple years since Fractured Sky is out, is that people don't use the peek action to look at the hidden objectives for the round. And so Bounties are an alternate of what can be done. So instead of putting out the private objectives and having that action, you are now going to have out from the beginning 5 public objectives. And these public objectives can range from having a number of buildings built, holding on to a number of resources, maybe you're trying to fill platforms, all kinds of stuff. What's really cool about them is if you're the first person to achieve it, you get the Starfall. But if you are the second or later person, instead of getting a Starfall, you get a handful of resources. So the have 3+ scout tokens and resource slots, that's either a point or that's 3 iron, which means that's a free fortress for me. There's some really cool stuff going on here. I like that this happens. And the reason I wanted to go here after Payloads is that there are a couple of these bounties that relate to how much strength you have in a particular area or how much strength you have on the board. And being able to say, have 18+ strength on the board, well, this is a way for me to do that without having to rely on skimmers and fortresses. This allows me an alternate way to those. I really like the bounties. Without a question, this is just in the game for me. I never really liked the hidden objectives. I didn't like peeking. It's just really, really good. Bounties are the only expansion that you cannot use in the solo mode. But man, if I have other people at the table, they're in every time. The original peak system is just out for me. This has flat replaced it.
I think you're absolutely correct. Why worry about the peak system? Have the bounties. It works better. It almost makes more sense because resources can be used for other things. I mean, unless you're peeking at where the Starfall is going to be.
I mean, the scout action's still there.
The scout action, yes.
But the peak action was any 2 resources, and
I'd rather build a building.
yeah, I'd rather do something with them.
I'd rather build a building or build a skimmer.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the bounties, and they are essential for me wanting to play more. It is such a good expansion to go ahead and fix something, and this is like adding wings onto it.
Yeah, it does. It almost feels like they fixed an error.
Yeah.
Or an oversight.
This is why I love expansions. This is why I love seeing design experience come into play, because they saw, this is a system people don't want to use. And if you still want to use it, this is a module. Just don't put this in.
Yeah.
But when they are able to smartly respond to the way players are playing their game, and it's as clear as just swap these out, it's a deck of cards. Literally, the setup is put out 5 cards. That's it. Done.
And it gives you more modularity.
My only negative on this is you may end up kind of tweaking what got put out, because if you have build 8 buildings and build 4 fortresses and build 4 markets, like now you're heavily focusing on that. If you want to build for that and you can just score 3 objectives almost at once, go nuts. But otherwise, just swap one of those out with one of the other cards, because there is a good amount of cards in this deck. I love it. I think it is a perfect little expansion.
Very valid note, and I have nothing to add to that one.
All right, so we've been positive so far. We're going to see where this one goes. We're going to go into the next module, and that is Flagships. So Flagships, you are going to have 5 of them out, and each one has a little player board that is going to have an A side power and a B side power. These are going to be set during setup. You can choose all A, all B, or some mixture therein. And when you are playing with these, you are going to leave one of your flagships in the box. So you're going to have 2 of your faction ones. And then at the top of each round, you will have an individual draft. So whoever is in last place in turn order gets first pick of the flagship. And you're going to have an asymmetric third flagship from the other players. If you do not choose a flagship, so in a player count that is anything other than 5, whatever is left over, you are going to put a gold token on, thereby kind of sweetening the pot of, I will take Nautilorn this turn because there's 3 gold sitting on it. Cool, I'll take 3 free gold. It feels very much like Twilight Imperium 4 in that sense of, oh, hey, nobody took that strategy card. I'll take it because I get the tokens, right? When you are looking at it on its face, you're like, wait a minute, you're doing a draft every round. It doesn't take that long. And because they are still as strongly magnetic as they are, it's easy to track who has what at any given point, because A, you're going to have the player board in front of you, and B, you're going to attach your player color to the bottom of it. So it's not that big of a deal of who's going to be there. Now, that said, this is the only one of the 4 expansions that I can leave behind pretty easily. And that's because, again, prototype components, prototype powers, things can change. But there are some of these that at the moment just clearly feel too strong. Leviathan is taken every single round because a discount on every building around it is huge. That can mean that you are building 4 buildings instead of 2, depending. Meanwhile, you look at something like Skyborn, and if you're not a person that really likes building skimmers, Skyborn is never going to be picked for you. When you're looking at Grimroot's B-side or Skyborn's B-side of your markets and fortresses are going to give extra troop strength to that particular airship, like, I guess it's cool, but these, I just want the powers tweaked. I like the idea of them, but if you said, I don't want to put everything in, this is the one I leave out. Not even a question.
Yeah, I don't think that the flagships are as strong as I think that Ivy was hoping for. I could definitely leave this one out and not feel bad about it. Because exactly like you said, we pretty much used the same breed. They just rotated between us.
Yeah. When Grimroot was on its A side and when we played with it, we used it constantly because getting to move it somewhere else is cool. But the B side of, markets give that particular ship 1 extra, which, in the center of the board, that's potentially 4 strength. But more often than not, it's like 1 extra strength. Mm-hmm. Maybe 2. It just doesn't feel as good as I'm going to discount every building I can build.
I think overall, I do really like having the flagships in, but the big thing is they need to level the playing field when it comes to the powers. I think when it comes to stuff like this, you definitely want to go ahead and not have as much of a gap between a power like Leviathans or Nautilorns compared to Skyborns. If they up the powers, I think that this could be a really, really good expansion. And the gold, if you only add one gold to it around, it doesn't seem like it is giving enough for the gap that is there now. Equate the powers a little bit better, give a better equilibrium, and I would absolutely put this on the table. But as it is now, it's just kind of okay.
I like the idea of asymmetric ships. I always like that. But when you're looking at how much variability you have anyway, just from the basic set of what power token am I putting out, what regions am I going into, where do I have buildings built, there's enough ambiguity and variety of gameplay from player to player and game to game that these just don't feel like they stand out in any important way.
I would agree.
I do say that they do add a level of complexity on the when do you want to go ahead and finish up your round, because that decides when you get to go ahead and pick your flagship. So instead of just being like, oh man, I'm going to be the last to go again, or man, I hate being first, this at least adds a little bit more complexity of why you'd want to go and be first or last, so you don't feel as bad about how you end up in the round, or vice versa.
I agree with that. The last of the 4 modules is Guardians, and Guardians are as easy as you have a deck of 6 cards. You are going to flip out 2 of them, and when you are setting up for each round, you are going to use the public Starfall deck. So the first card that comes out will be where the Starfall drops. The next 2 are where the 2 Guardians for the round go out. They are going to be placed over the Explore slot, and when you go to the region that a Guardian is in for the first time, you will put your airship in the Explore slot, and instead of getting to see where one of the private Starfalls would have been, you are going to get to move that Guardian. And what's important is the Guardian cannot go either A, where it already is, or B, where there is another Guardian. And where it lands is where it actually applies its power. So Cinderwing, for instance, just says, hey, in this region, we're not going to score any Starfalls. Whereas somebody like Cragjaw says every building that is attached to his region doubles its effect. You have 4 markets there. Cool, you're going to get 8 resources out of those markets this round. They lead to some really, really interesting decision space of, do I want to activate them at all? If I activate them, do I want to put them somewhere that I want specifically to draw people to, or am I trying to push them away from something? They're just such a neat little idea. And again, the rules overhead is basically those 2 sentences. The setup is so straightforward on them. These are in every game. For me, Bounties are in every game. Guardians are in every game. I will most likely have Payloads in every game. And Flagships are, I might use them, I might not. But the idea of, hey, this round, whoever wins is actually getting swapped with second place. So you don't want to be in first place for this region. Or you see a region that has stacked up multiple Starfalls because maybe we didn't go to where the public was last round, and now there's a public this round. And you have Cloudseer that says, oh, we're going to put a third one there. There's some really neat interactions that happen because of the Guardians, and they're entirely player driven. I have seen multiple rounds happen where we didn't interact with them at all, and then I've seen other games where we used them all 10 times because of what they did.
Yeah, Guardians, it's a fun little mess around. I would say that Bounties are a must. I would put Guardians as my second, Payloads as my third, and Flagships as my fourth of the little miniature things that you could throw into the game. The Guardians were a lot of fun because also it's like, cool, I don't want this used against me. I'm going to go where he is and block him into a spot because no, I do not want you messing with me.
Like, we caused with Cinderwing one region to have 5 Starfalls in it at once.
Yep.
That was me. I did that.
It was you.
I have 2 wolves in my mind about Guardians. One is, I'm going to use these tactically because I want to do this thing in this place. And the other one is Chaos Goblin, and that was amazing. I love these Guardians. Put them in every single game. Cindermaw is crazy because, yes, there were 5 put into one space at one time just because I was like, you know what? Let's do this again. Nah, run it back. Let's do it one more time. These guys are awesome. Put them in every single game. I don't care which of the Guardians get put out there. Each one helps to just change the whole map and strategy of the game. They are awesome.
And I really like the fact that 4 of them will be seen twice. So in the first round, you are going to see one of them, whatever is the one on the right when you do setup. That's only going to be in 1 round. Equivalently, in the 5th round, the 6th Guardian will only be there for the 5th round. Also is interesting which ones are going to come out when and how many times do we have the opportunity to use them. It just adds really wonderful texture to the game.
Yeah. It also kind of rounds out the storyline because, I mean, there's still not a major overarching story for Fractured Sky, but now we're seeing more things in that world. It's kind of neat.
So final thoughts on this guy. We need to state somewhat of a retraction of prior opinions on Fractured Sky because as it turned out, we had been playing the game wrong. There was one small rule we missed.
Well, it ended up being a misinterpretation because even it was said like, yeah, this is how it's supposed to sound. And they're kind of clarifying to make sure it's understood completely.
I am very happy that I talked with Austin at PAX and he said, hold on to your Fractured Sky. We'll get you the expansion. You can try it out. We'll see how it goes. And when we were reaching out to him around actually one of the Guardians, like, how does this work? Because we were just not engaging with rewards correctly.
Yep.
And we got into a call with him. And so it made us realize, oh, nuts. So in the interim, not only have we played Awakening a lot, we have also gone back and played just the base game multiple times. So that way we understood it better. And I have gone back and played the solo mode multiple times because now that we understand that we fixed that misunderstanding, I think we all very much enjoy this game.
Yeah, because Fractured Sky was one of those that was like, yeah, I like it, but this doesn't make any sense. And okay, and
I didn't understand to the vigor that people liked it.
Yeah, you know, just so that you guys know us, if you've been listening for a while, it's we are human. And so like we will sit there and we'll come with our own opinions and we're like, what are we missing? Because so many people are really, really enjoying this. And we were just kind of like, yeah, it's
and we
okay.
have been in the minority opinion on some games in the past.
Right.
Which even come out and said, like, we understand that this is our opinion. We are probably not in the majority here, but we just played that one rule wrong and it changed the entire experience of the game.
Fractured Sky very much is a very solid 8 for me now because of how well that game plays. Now that we fixed the understanding of one rule. And Awakening is just going to make it that much better.
This to me is what Tribunal did for Veiled Fate. Veiled Fate had one issue, and for me, that was high player odd number counts. So if you're playing 5, 7, or 9, and you had the odd person out. And then it fixed that. And then it sat there and said, and now we're going to add in Hadria, and now we're going to add in the Servants, and we're going to add in some other cards just across the board. I will not play Veiled Fate. I will not teach Veiled Fate without Tribunal. I will not play Fractured Sky. I will not teach Fractured Sky without at least most of Awakening.
Right.
There's not a lot of extra rules overhead. It is an improvement in essentially every way. This is an excellent expansion.
I do have to retract some part of my original statement because I do distinctly remember calling this Dumb Luck the board game, and that's exactly how it felt back then. And I think Awakening does a lot to fix that, especially with the bounties and especially with a lot of the Guardian abilities and whatnot. I think Awakening is huge for that. The change in the rules, being able to retain more of the resources, is a huge boon. And I do feel like that it really ramps up the game and makes it better and more playable overall. So I will have to go ahead and say that I enjoyed it a lot more. I still, however, didn't use the skimmers basically at all in my gameplay and ended up just fine in the end. So I didn't really see a lot of the power potential in those. However, maybe that was just my playstyle. But overall, Awakening is huge for this, and if you're going to get Fractured Sky, absolutely jump in on getting Awakening because it makes it just so much better.
This made me actively engage with skimmers a lot more because resources were more plentiful. But yeah, no notes. We really love this expansion.
Yeah, it was great.
So with that, thank you so much to Ivy Studio for providing this to us. This is on Kickstarter on February 24th. You can find the link for that campaign in our episode notes. Other than that, thank you so much for listening to this. Go check out the Kickstarter campaign and we'll catch you on the next one.